this time, this is a film that came out way earlier in the year. It's called The Plague, and this is directed by Charlie Polinger, starring Everett Blunck as the kid, as one of the tween named Ben, Kayo Martin as Jake, Kenny Rasmussen as Eli, and of course, Joel Edgerton played as Daddy Wings. A socially awkward tween endures the ruthless hierarchy at a water polo camp, his anxiety spiraling into psychological turmoil over the summer. So pretty much, Ben, played by Everett Blunck, he's going through like social anxiety like throughout this whole entire water polo camp. Him and like a bunch of eight, 8 to 10 boys are competing in a water polo camp, in a tournament. And so over the time, he experienced so much of pressure and anxiety, and pretty much feeling like he's unsatisfied on a kind of an edge. And he feels like this because he didn't feel like he grew up in a household, family household that believed in him in this polo camp. Like he didn't believe that he could actually compete on a level, and to a point where once they all were like down there, it's like a hole, like a wormhole, like of a plague. It feels like underneath, as they're going swimming in this water polo camp, like they sort of experience some sort of like doom and turmoil, and he feels like just his anxiety and pressure of feeling like he's not going to make it, and feeling like he's not going to excel, not going to excel. He feels like he's not going to excel, like just in life. He feels like he's not going to excel when it comes to just swimming, and he feels like just life and society feels like it's coming towards him and hitting him in such a way. And Ben, I'm talking about, he's just coming at him and hitting him in such a towards a way where it feels like he's not able to combat and compute, like just overall, like the feeling of just being in this plague and being in this aura. And I feel like the film, what it does get right in a lot of areas, is I like mainly the most of the other cast, and pretty much the coach also played it by Joel Edgerton as Daddy Wings. He's pretty much putting a lot of the pressure on these 8 to 10 boys as he's training and coaching and doing the best he can to get the best out of them, and he's really being so harsh and being blunt and forced on Ben, because he feels like Ben is not really showing his potential. He feels like Everett Blunck's character as Ben is not really showing his potential and not really grabbing on and latching on to, just actually competing and actually going, the extra mile. And again, I like what the film does and brings, is because it brings some sort of a feeling and realism and raw, and also dealing with, the adversity of, being in this water polo camp, and Ben being the one that has some sort of like angst and down upon, and like he feels like he's going an extra limit and going an extra mile. I like the fact that the film breaks it down in so many different ways. Like it tells different stories of all of these 8 boys. Mainly I guess like I said, Joel Edgerton's character is also very important as the coach, and it shows his stage, and it shows, like I said, Jake, Kayo Martin, his stage, and how he feels that. But Ben, played by Everett Blunck, feels this sort of kind of way as well in his state, and the story, like I said, tells in different stages of these teen boys. It tells him about how much how much this camp and how much they have to, live amongst, being in their name and being amongst their, way of being able to live up to the full potential in this camp, and being able to live up to what they're sound upon. So I like the fact that the film breaks it down in that set, and I also like the fact that it also can apply to real life as well, when you're dealing with so much circumstances, and when you're dealing with so much of trying to compete in these sports tournaments, when you're trying to compete in in this little course. Like I said, it feels so many different. It makes you feel a certain way. It makes you feel a lot for these boys and what they're going through. You know, the kind of mannerisms that they're showing, the body language. I like the fact that they shows all that in this film, and it shows so much of how, like I said, this camp could really take a lot of toll out of it and could really take so much out of you. So yeah, I really like that about the film. So like I said, the main thing is the quality is like I said, the main kid actors, mainly Everett Blunck, mainly Kayo Martin, and mainly Kenny Rasmussen, and like I said, the coach. I think they all did their thing. Played by Joel Edgerton. I think they all did their thing. I think they all really had a really outstanding performance. And I really thought that it gave the best of both worlds and everything. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the plague. The only negative I would say, and this is more of like a nitpick, I wish the film could have been a little bit longer. But overall, I give this film, yeah, I'm gonna give this film 4 stars. I really think this film is really solid. I definitely recommend it to a lot of people who have not seen it. Um, Again, if you like, kind of like underwater, um, like kids and social tweens dealing with, sort of anxiety and peer pressure and everything, I would say go check this film out. It definitely is worth your time. So, all right, I'm out, and I got one more film to do for you guys. So, yeah, I'll be back. Thank you for watching, and salute.